Hello everybody, this is April the 6th when I'm doing this little bit of recording. The video probably won't be out for a couple of weeks yet, and I'm not quite sure if you can see what I want you to see or not, but hopefully when I edit this back on the computer I can get it clear enough and zoom in. What we're looking at is a hazelnut tree, filbert tree, whatever you want to call it, and it is starting to bloom. If you can see that little bit of red there, each one of these buds along here is a blossom bud, and that little tiny red thing is the flower. It does get slightly bigger than that, but not very much. You really have to look close to see the blossom on a hazel tree. And this down below here, and if you can get that up into the picture or not, that's the catkin, that's the male part of the blossom that's producing the pollen. Hazel trees are wind pollinated. And I did manage to get a few hazelnuts, very few, off of this tree last year. I think it's because the tree next to it I know is a different variety, and I think it finally produced catkins so that it cross-pollinated. It has a few catkins on it again this year, so perhaps I'll get a few more this year, but that is what a hazelnut blossom looks like. Bring that over a little bit closer maybe. And other than that, I want to take you inside and show you a few things that's going on in the hoop house. I'm showing off my latest acquisition here, I guess. It's a polycarbonate cold frame, and you're supposed to be able to use it outside. I have it set up here in the hoop house, which I think is outside as it will probably get. Bought it at Costco and had to assemble it once I got it delivered. And polycarbonate, I guess, is fairly strong. I don't know. I've never really used anything made from it before. But this is very light, and we get extreme wind here. You can peg the four corners down. There's places where you would put like a spike down through a hole in the corner that's designed for an area to peg it down. But these doors, or the roof, whatever you want to call it, if I push it back any further than I've got it now, it unhinges so that you can remove them. Outside in a gale, I don't know. I suppose you could use bungee cords or something and tie it down, but I got a feeling I'm just going to use it in here. I planned, that's a bag of bought and composted farm manure. It says farmyard manure. Doesn't tell you what the animals are. It's just a mixture, I guess. But I put it in there because it was frozen solid when I bought it from the garden center, and I'm sure it's thawed up by now. I plan to plant early beets in here to get them started. And all I'll do is when they get growing so they don't need this much heat anymore, I'll just remove the top and let them continue to grow inside the frame. I think I'll leave the frame right in here. Well, let's look at one or two other things in here. Well, most of the winter sown things that I started in the bottles have germinated. Not a lot of germination, but I only put a few seeds of each variety in each bottle. Some of them I only have one or two, and others I've got 4 or 5 that germinated, which would have been most everything that I put in there, I guess. There's a couple that haven't germinated yet. One is the celeriac, and the other one is the caraflex, which is the early cabbage. My early cabbage aren't germinating, so I may have to try some of those in the house, I guess. The flat trays that you see were done later, and there is some germination happening in those. Not that you'll be able to see it, but I'll lift one. These are morning glories here that are coming up. And next to it, I guess, was some red trillium, just seeds that I saved from my own red trillium wildflowers. I don't know if they'll germinate or not. So far, they're not showing anything. And I think the last one over there is black hawthorn, is that what it's called? Anyway, tree seeds that I bought, and I'm trying to get those to germinate. I won't bother opening the others. There is a few little things popping up here and there, but let's take a look at some of the other things in here. Hopefully that's in focus. That's one of my crown peas starting to come up. I planted them in the end of one of the beds in here on the 15th of March, and they're very slow getting up because it's been very cold. The ground even froze a few times, but they are coming up. They're here, there, and everywhere in this bed, so I have hopes of some crown peas. Next to it I planted some Swiss chard, the rainbow Swiss chard. I won't bother trying to show you those. They are up, but they're even smaller than the peas. When I was planting my garlic last fall, I planted 2 4-foot square raised beds out in the garden, and I still had garlic left over. I couldn't stand just to throw it away, so I brought it in here, and I think there are 24, I guess. I'm kind of doing a quick count, and they've been up in here for some time. The one out in the garden are actually coming up as well, in the bit of early spring weather that we've had, but these are doing much better. The garlic that overwintered in the hoop house here, and it really didn't start coming up until about a month ago, so keeping it in the hoop house even with the ground frozen, it didn't do all that well in here, but it's up and growing anyway. The little violas in here that came in with some compost last year and are spreading like wildfire everywhere. There was blooms in here in mid-February, 1 or 2, but there's more now. The clumps are getting larger and they're all starting to bloom. This is that long, skinny row of alpine strawberries. I think, if I remember rightly, there were 13 plants. I've just recently pruned them back and they're starting to get some new growth coming on them. I lost one completely to the moles over the winter, devoured the entire thing, but there seems to be some little pieces coming up where it was, so evidently a little bit of the root was left. And there was another one that the moles did quite a job on, but I think I salvaged enough of it that it's rooting again. Right now they need water, so I guess I better water them. But that concludes this little look around the hoop house and the hazel tree on the 6th of April. Thank you for watching.